That's, you know, like the portrait of my mother is a really great example. I don't even feel a camera in that picture. It feels like there's no camera there. That would be like the ultimate, goal for me.
I think that's something sort of, I don't know, a lot of people have sort of talked about it, written about it, that actually you get more out of your subjects by actually
beating them to death.
Yeah, but there's that, because some shoots go on for days. I'm sure that must be really easy.
Well, that's the technique. You
wear them down.
You let them sit there for hours, and suddenly they become themselves. It's amazing.
No, but you stage it. It's almost like you sort of add the theatrics and add so much stuff to amplify and exaggerate the sense of self, especially perhaps with the more sort of famous, iconic figures. And yet, by doing that, you're actually really stripping them back. I mean, are you conscious of sort of that? I mean, is that the plan? Like, are you this master plan mad genius that knows that you just have to amplify to strip?
I mean, I don't think you know exactly what you're doing when you first do it, but then you learn from it, and that's the whole idea behind doing a show or a book. Is I learned very early on that you learn from looking back at your work. So this is actually chapter 2, because I did 1970, 1990, and this is 1990 to 2005. So by looking at your work, you begin to understand, by looking back, you begin to understand what you're doing, and then of course you can never do it again. But you learn about what you did, and you try to emulate it or use what you have learned. And I think a photographer's life, that's what it's such an important body of work to me, because it sort of took me over the hill. Whatever I was striving for up to this point, I sort of, for myself, personal achievement, I finally realized what my work is, in this body of work, by pulling out the work that I hadn't been looking at, which was the personal, everyday snapshots that I took of my family and my friends, and Susan Sontag, and by putting that together with the assignment work, which is a little bit more stilted and a little bit more sometimes formal. I felt, as a photographer, I realized myself. So this was a real freeing, body of work for me. It sort of uses, every sense of me. I think now I feel like I've sort of graduated to. I feel like I'm especially with the advent of digital, I feel like I'm sort of a conceptual artist who uses photography. And I think what's great about the show is you're going to look and see all these different ways to take pictures, because I'm a huge fan of photography. I love photography. And there's landscape, there's reportage, there's formal portraits, and I love using it all. I love using it all, and I love the iPhone. I love all that's coming out. I'm not technical savvy, and I've actually went out and bought like 3 different kinds of phones to try to see what's the best camera.
You tried the different kind of apps as well to tweak the pictures and stuff like that?
I haven't. That's my project this summer, is to really teach myself really using
There's
it.
a man in there you need to talk to who knows all about all the different kinds of photographic apps. Okay. I'll introduce you later, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Is it possible for all of us sort of mere mortals here to so Annie, anyway, as I was saying, no arms. Is it possible to take a photograph that replicates what you see? Have you done that without sort of having to touch it up or fix the lighting or kind of just regret that it wasn't? Is it possible?
That's a very good question, and I really don't think it is. I mean, I think by the nature of it, it's this is one-dimensional, and it's just it's gone into a different. You can, and that's a very good reason to represent something rather than try to say you're going to capture it. I mean, I think that's why landscape was so frightening to me for so long, because I didn't want to touch it, because it was when you see the sun going down or you see something beautiful, there's no way you can photograph it. It just doesn't I think that was true with dance also. Dance, you could, it was beautiful to see that you know, it was so ethereal. It wasn't something you were ever going to be able to put in a photograph. I'm a little interested now with the digital, with being able to stop motion, and having these higher speeds and about what can be done. I mean, we're seeing now, animals moving at night,
Yeah.
and we're stopping motion more, and it's an interesting time. I think it's a really exciting time, to see what can be done next.
Well, I was going to ask you, I mean, sort of like in the age of everyone having a camera, and you've got like 5-year-olds sort of touting phones with cameras and stuff like that and snapping away and actually coming up with quite amazing random sort of photographs.
No.
Is this sort of career or life of a proper, true photographer who's a storyteller dead, or is it the start of a new evolution?
There's room for both. It's a big world. There's lots to do. Photography will be like will be a language. It will be, and it already is. We use it for note taking and
which is appalling at university. I mean, have you seen those photographs of all the students like that with their iPads?
It's incredible. I was photographing Vanessa Redgrave, and she pulled out her iPhone and she showed me the pictures of her grandchildren. So it really is a beautiful moment, for that. It does not take away from there will always be photographers and photography, and that's a serious undertaking. And all you have to do is look at the front page of the New York Times every day, and you see an important photograph. Photographers. Someone who wants to be a photographer will take it to a serious, to a serious place. I'm not saying there are not great photographs being taken every single second by all of us, but if we want to represent something and
for it to be documented.
There's I've heard this this thought that is photography dead? It's just the opposite. It's more alive than ever, and there's room for both ideas. We'll settle down.
Yeah.
We'll settle down. We'll figure it out. There still are going to be photographers who take it seriously and do imagery that is important to us. It's more important than ever.